Okay, everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. Now, somebody sent me this top 8 culture shocks when moving to Australia, and I thought, I'm already in Australia, but I thought I could watch it and then maybe I might be able to explain it a little bit more. So let's jump in I might even get some culture shocks as well. Who knows? Who knows? Let's jump in and let's see what this one is all about.
Right, let's give this a go. So you've heard about the deadly animals, scorching sun, impossible isolation. What was the other one?
Make it
And
sound like
sausage and
really
bread.
good.
And you're still thinking that you want to come to the land down under? Then prepare yourself for these weird Australian culture shocks. G'day guys, my name's Ross and I moved with my family to Australia during a global pandemic. Now I love living in Australia, but when we first moved over here, it was a little bit weird. Now to stop things being so weird for you when you make the move, these are our top 8 culture shocks when moving to Australia.
Okay, let's see
Australians
what they say.
love their sport, but
We
unless
certainly
you're
do.
from Australia, sometimes the sport is a little bit strange. For example, football isn't football. And I'm not really talking about soccer, or am I? It really freaks me out to say the word soccer. For me, I know what football is. And for Australians, they also know what football is. But when you move to Australia, just resign yourself to the fact that you're now probably going to follow the minority sport and also need a special subscription just to be able to watch it. Football in Australia can mean many things. Football for me means soccer, but football in Queensland means rugby
union?
league. And
Rugby
if you
league,
come
yeah,
from one of
beg
the
your pardon,
southern
yeah.
states
Well, a
like
rugby union as
Victoria
well.
or South Australia, then football can mean AFL. And I still don't understand how that game works, but I want to learn. You can still have a beer at an AFL game, right? But if you come from the UK like me and you still want to watch your beloved football, then you're going to have to become a social hermit, bound to the wee hours of the night just to watch.
I had Scottish parents, so I always called it football. But soccer in Australia is getting definitely more popular, and AFL is based on Gaelic football, so it's not too strange.
Your darling Premier League. If you don't like it, then take up one of the other many forms of football. And if you're American, well, they also kind of play baseball and stuff too, but probably not your
I've never seen anybody play
form of
baseball
football.
in
Be
Australia.
not too hot in all the pads and stuff. Or imagine getting a spider in your helmet. Ooh. The second shock that we had coming from the antisocial rest of the world is the fact that in Australia, people are actually friendly to you. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Well, we are.
People are friendly in other parts of the
We are very friendly.
world. But Australians are kind of like this weird level of friendly. People greet you on the street. Neighbours come up to your house and welcome you to the neighbourhood. People actually offer you help. Now for me, being the antisocial hermit that I am watching my Premier League, people being friendly to me was a little bit weird and it just took a little bit of getting used to. But when it happens to you in Australia, it really does make you realise how nice the world can be. Now hey, you're going to think to yourself,
I've never really
people around
kind
the
of
world are nice.
thought about it.
And
We kind of just say g'day to everybody on the street, even, walking past in shops and everything.
lots of them are. And you normally notice
Never
it when
really
you're on
thought about
holiday. Maybe it's the weather that makes people happier. Because I can tell you that the dreary darkness of winter kind of makes people the opposite. To be honest, this is one of the best culture shocks of Australia. Calling all social recluses out there. If you move to Australia, it's going to make you a better person. No one wants your social awkwardness
We are better in Australia.
or unfriendly banter. Australians are genuinely friendly, unless they don't like you. But there's no beating around the bush. I'll tell you straight. Now, coming from the northern hemisphere on the other side of the world, having a cold Christmas becomes a rite of passage. But here,
Yeah,
cold
no, we don't.
Christmases. Welcome to the heat, my friend. Christmas in summer. It's hot. Really hot.
It
if you
is
don't
hot.
have air
Actually, you know what? This year's not been too bad for Christmas. We actually had a cooler Christmas this year. It wasn't too bad.
you're gonna struggle. It's
Wasn't
not dark.
too bad.
You and your family aren't just confined to one room, watching
Yeah.
each other open presents you probably didn't even want. Wishing that the TV was on so that you wouldn't have to make awkward conversation with family members who you hardly ever see apart from the festive time. Wondering to yourself, is it too early to start drinking yet? The fact is that with Christmas in Australia, you get to take all of the good bits of Christmas, like presents, and spending time with family that you actually want to spend time with. And then add all the good things of summer, like going to the beach, spending time in the pool, having a barbecue in the sunshine. Don't hang on to your old traditions of Christmas, like your roast turkey with all of the trimmings. I mean, do hang on to them, but don't whinge that you're doing it in the heat. Have a barbecue instead. Savour the wonder that is a potato bake. Why did we not have these in England? Or if we did, I never had one. They're gorgeous. Make new traditions and embrace the fact that Christmas in summer is now your new life. Now, coming from cosmopolitan Europe, I was kind of used to this next one because people on the continent sometimes like to have a siesta. But at least they opened up the shops and stuff again. Now, I know that this can catch out the average Brit visiting Marbella for the first time and wondering why in the middle of the day all the shops are shut. But in Australia it goes to another extreme and shops just shut early. Want to get a coffee after 4 p.m? Yeah, nah. Don't be crazy. Why would you need that much caffeine in your...
The town where my wife grew up, the shops are still closed on a Sunday. You don't get nothing.
System at night. It's going to go dark in a couple of hours. Want a takeaway after 9 p.m. on a Friday? Well, you better live in the city centre. Ain't no one going to work after 9 p.m. in the burbs. You crazy? Unless you're in the major cities.
Unless it's fast food as well. You don't get anything 7 o'clock for a fish and chip shop.
Things in Australia are rarely 24 hours.
7:30 maybe.
People have a life. They don't want to sit there waiting in a restaurant or a shop for your convenience. Don't be so selfish. Why aren't things so convenient? Well, it turns out people don't actually want to work all the time. And you need to respect that. Get a bit more organised. Enjoy a night in. Realise that that thing you think you need, you probably don't need right now. I'm sorry that the shops shut early, but if you don't have that thing you want right now, is the world going to end? Probably not. And if it was that important, you wouldn't have forgotten it, right? And this culture shock extends into the next one. And it's the work culture. And weirdly enough, most Australians don't like to work. I mean, they do. They do like to work. That's a massively sweeping statement. But fortunately for people who live here, we don't live to work. Working to live is an incredibly emancipating feeling. What's the point in going to work all day to earn money to then not have the time to spend it? I don't want to live a life like that, do you? Especially when you...
And the good thing is we get 4 weeks holidays if you're full-time in Australia, so you get plenty of time to enjoy
have all of this fantastic weather and beautiful scenery to spend it in. Except when it's in the La Nina year. Like, the scenery's still there, but the weather's still a bit crap, and it has been for the last 2 years. Fortunately for most Australians, this laissez-faire attitude to work extends to lots of different industries. If you're sick of the daily grind in your job, then come to Australia, and you can do the same thing but not work as hard. Wouldn't we all want to just do that? But sometimes this incredibly laid-back nature can lend itself to some slightly weird / potentially unsafe habits. Barefoot in public? That one takes a little bit of getting used to. Especially living up here in the sunshine.
I grew up barefoot. I used to be able to run down a road barefoot, not even
State
feel
of
it.
Queensland. Seeing people go barefoot in your local Coles can be pretty much a daily occurrence. Lots of people do it, especially children. It's like they've got an allergy.
Have you, like, I'll explain the barefoot. You know, I live in Australia, obviously it's hot. You know, those in America, probably in the South and wherever else, you know, it gets hot. There is nothing better than walking into a shopping centre, into a shop, you know, they have that freezer compartment and it's roasting hot day outside and you walk in there and you're in barefoot and it's freezing cold. Man, that is the best feeling. That is the best feeling.
Allergy to shoes or thongs. Just put some thongs on, mate. Protect yourself. Now, for us foreigners who are used to wearing shoes anyway just to keep our toes warm, seeing people go barefoot in public and it's not the beach or a swimming pool can be a little bit weird. But actually, rather than criticising or wondering if they've got asbestos in the soles of their feet, don't criticise. Join them. Everyone talks about that feeling where you can spread your toes in the sand and how liberating it can be. Well, just go barefoot in public, mate. You get that feeling all the time. Except when it's the middle of summer and you step on that black tarmac. Maybe put your
or the sand. Oh, the sand in summer was terrible. Oh my God.
Now, if you thought going barefoot in public was rather informal or slightly offensive, then wait until the average Australian speaks to you. Don't get me wrong, most of them are educated, eloquent individuals, but the average Aussie does love a swear. They even do it on the radio. The first time I heard shit on the radio in the morning, I was wondering if my driving was okay or if someone was shouting at me in traffic. No, it was the person on the radio. I've even heard them drop the odd wanker, which can be wholly confusing to some of the people watching this that don't even know what a wanker is. They can say wanker on the radio, yet I'm cursey enough to bleep wanker on my videos. What a beautiful country we live in. Now, don't get me wrong, they don't go for the hardcore stuff like fuck or bugger. Wait, bugger isn't really that bad, is it? Oh, I've buggered this up.
I mean, we used to have bugger in our adverts for, what was that for? Holden Ute. Holden Ute, you know, the Holden Ute. Something would go wrong in the advert and they'd go bugger. God, no, bugger's not a swear word.
But most Australians
If you
would
come
drop the
from
C
England and Scotland, yes, it is a swear word.
bomb at you as a term of endearment. How's it going? I know that for lots of people when they watch Game of Thrones, dropping the C-bomb was a big taboo. And if you don't like that word, sorry, Australia might not be for you. Because in Australia, lots of people like to swear and everyone's so you better get used to it. I don't think I've ever used that many bleeps in a video before.
We definitely like to... Yeah, don't come to Australia if you don't like the C word.
I really hope I bleeped all of those out. Now the last one is something that's awesome, but also one of my little pet peeves. In Australia, they have some of the best containers for sauce. In those little foldy things that just squeeze out perfectly. What an invention! But in Australia, if you want the privilege of sauce, you have to pay for it. Want some tomato sauce, mate? Yeah, that could be 15 cents, please. Or
25 cents, 30 cents
if you want.
I've seen it for 50 cents.
Two. Because they're like really small packets. Now don't get me wrong, not everywhere does charge for sauce. Thank the Lord. But lots of places do, and it's pretty common practice. If you're like my wife that just loves to slather everything in tomato ketchup, then not only calling it ketchup is going to be weird in Australia, because it's
tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce, as I've been told many times when I get that confusing look asking for ketchup. But like going to America and having to pay for something and then add on the sales tax, if you want sauce, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. But the good thing is we don't have to tip.
Mind you, I think it's pretty even, but a lot of people in Australia like barbecue sauce.
Everyone gets a fair wage. And Medicare. And gun laws. What a beautiful country Australia is. Now, if you're thinking of moving to Australia and you don't want to live in Melbourne or Sydney, and you think that, like us, Brisbane could be the place for you, then watch this video. To wonder if Brisbane is really worth going to.
Oh, nice.
See you later.
I mean, he lives in Brisbane. I mean, at least he picked the right city to live in too. So, if you're watching this is where I live in too, Brisbane, Vegas. So, we're immigrants to Australia as well. But you know, I kind of grew up in Australia, so I'm kind of used to it now. So, but that was very interesting. That was obviously tongue in cheek, a lot of tongue in cheek. We do barefoot a lot. As soon as you come home, that's it, barefoot. You know, take your shoes off. No. If you were visiting neighbours, you'd go across the road barefoot. You wouldn't put on shoes or anything. Go down the supermarket, barefoot. You know, sometimes, obviously we call flip-flops thongs in Australia. You know, you'd have your going out thongs as well. You know, you have a pair you set aside that you would only use if you go to that special place. Oh, I better put my thongs on. Oh, I better put the dress thongs on. So, yeah, that's kind of a bit weird when you say it out loud, isn't it? That's kind of weird, but you know, that's Australia. Come live in Australia. We are a great country, great beaches. Definitely come along. If you haven't visited us, definitely. So let me know if you enjoyed that. Let me know if anything kind of wasn't real shocks, but let me know if anything did. And if you want any more explanation, let me know as well too. Let me know as well too. So guys, thank you very much for joining me. If you did like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up as well too. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that red button down there, the big subscribe button. You can't miss it. So guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Did you enjoy that video? Why not watch another one?